like with no hit records, that we had to come up with something different, you know, to be able to work. So we got the idea to try and be different from everybody else.
For 25 years, I was a member of the Spinners. Moment of it, I never thought that it would get us inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
The terrible secret the Spinners singer John Edwards died with isn't just about music. It's about pain, betrayal, and a story buried beneath decades of soul classics.
We find from the beginning, like with no hit records, that we had to come up with something different, you know, to be able to work. So we got the idea to try and be different from everybody else.
He was the powerful voice behind some of the Spinners' biggest hits, stepping in after lead singer Philippé Wynne left.
I did not feel like it was really something that I had a part in.
But behind that smooth falsetto was a man battling serious health issues, forgotten in the shadows of the group's fame. From the lyric scandal in One of a Kind, Love Affair, to backstage fights over control, money, and recognition, the drama never stopped. And when the industry moved on, John was left behind, sick and carrying a secret that no one dared to talk about until after he was gone. John Edwards, who used to be the lead singer of the famous soul and R&B group, the Spinners, has died. He passed away on Sunday at the age of 80. His death was shared in a message on the Spinners' official Instagram page. They spoke kindly about him, saying he brought grace and soul to the group when he joined. So far, no one has said what caused his death. John joined the Spinners in 1977, after their earlier lead singer, Philippé Wynne, left the group. At that time, many fans wondered if anyone could fill Wynne's shoes. But John Edwards not only stepped in, he took the group to another level. He stayed with the Spinners until the year 2000. During those years, the group kept making music people loved. They gave him credit for keeping their sound alive and fresh during a new time. The group shared that John Edwards was the last founding member who was still living. Now, with his passing, all of the original members are gone. They said John took on a big job when he joined the group. He had to carry the group's future on his shoulders, but he did it well. He worked hard to keep their music strong and meaningful. He made sure the fans were still proud of the group. They also said John was an important part of what they called their magical fraternity. This means he was one of the special people who helped shape soul music. Even after all these years, their songs still touch people's hearts. John's voice was a big part of that. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame shared a video of John. He was added to the hall in 2023. They said his smooth and strong voice helped the group make hit songs like Working My Way Back to You and Cupid.
This is the building, Grant Elementary School, that the Spinners started.
Now let's talk about how the group started. The group started with 5 friends: Billy Henderson, Henry Fambro, Purvis Jackson, C.P. Spencer, and James Edwards, who lived together in a public housing project called Herman Gardens in Detroit. They came together because they loved making music and wanted to form a group. At first, the group was called the Domingos. However, James Edwards left the group after a few weeks, and Bobby Smith took his place. Bobby Smith became the lead singer on most of the Spinners' early songs and their biggest hits with Atlantic Records. Shortly after Edwards left, C.P. Spencer also left, and he later joined 2 other groups, the Voice Masters and the Originals. George Dixon replaced Spencer, and later on the group changed their name to the Spinners. One of the main reasons for their success was lead singer Philippé Wynne. He had a powerful voice and a big personality.
Most that we could say about it all is that we allow everybody in the audience to participate in it, and we have a communication session.
But things started to change in 1976 and 1977. Some of their songs during that time didn't do so well on the music charts. Songs like Love or Leave and Wake Up Susan didn't catch on with fans the way earlier songs did. Even though they were still working hard, something was missing. Then came a big hit called The Rubber Band Man.
Hey y'all, prepare yourself for the Rubber Band Man.
This song brought the Spinners back to the top. It was written by Tom Bell and Linda Creed. Tom Bell got the idea for the song from his son, who was being teased at school for being overweight. The song was first called The Fat Man, but they changed the name to make it more fun and less hurtful. The Rubber Band Man turned into a fun and catchy song that many people still remember today. It gave the group another taste of success. But this song would be the last big hit they had, with Philippé as their lead singer. Philippé started to feel unhappy. He wanted more control and attention. He even wanted the group to be renamed Philippé Wynne and the Spinners. This made things tense. The other group members didn't agree with him. They had always worked as a team, and they didn't want the focus to be only on one person. At the same time, Philippé was having problems with their producer, Tom Bell. These problems made the situation worse. The group couldn't work well like before. Finally, in 1977, Philippé left the Spinners. It was a big moment for the group. Many fans didn't know what would happen next. After Philippé left, the group had to find a new lead singer. They didn't want to stop making music. John Edwards, who had been singing with them sometimes when other members were sick, became the new full-time lead singer.
We find from the beginning, like with no hit records, that we had to come up with something different, to be able to work. So we got the idea to try and be different from everybody else.
This change was not easy. It was hard for the group and for the fans. Everyone was used to hearing Philippe's voice. Now, there was someone new, and people weren't sure how they felt about it. John had a different voice and a different style. Still, he worked hard to fit in and carry the group forward. John had an interesting life before joining the Spinners. He started singing when he was in the U.S. Army, while he was stationed in Germany. Singing helped him get through tough times. When he returned to the United States, he lived in Duluth, Georgia. He sang with well-known performers like Wilson Pickett and James and Bobby Purify. This gave him a lot of experience. Later, he moved to Chicago, where he met Curtis Mayfield, a famous soul artist. Curtis helped him meet a music producer named Joe Armstead. This opened the door for Edwards to start recording songs. Edwards began his music career with Weiss Records. Later, he moved to Bell Records and then to Aware Records, a label in Atlanta. That's where things started to pick up for him. He had several songs that made it onto the R&B charts. One of his most popular songs was Careful Man.
Everybody says that I'm a jealous man. I'm just a careful man.
Which reached number 8. Other songs like Messing Up a Good Thing also did well. Even when Aware Records closed, he didn't stop singing. He stayed active and even sang with the Spinners from time to time before becoming a full member. He also released songs like Baby, Hold On to Me,
Hold on to me.
and Nobody But You,
Nobody.
which also made it onto the music charts. Becoming a full member of the Spinners in 1977 was a big change for John Edwards. He had to learn how to perform with a group that already had a strong history and their own style. He needed to adjust his way of singing and performing so he could match the group's energy and way of doing things. The fans also needed time to get used to him. Some fans missed Philippe's voice, while others started to like Edwards' sound. It took time, but Edwards slowly became a strong part of the group. With John Edwards as the lead singer, the Spinners changed their music style a bit. They started to add more disco sounds to their songs. One big hit during this time was Working My Way Back to You, Forgive Me Girl.
Working my way back to you, babe, with a burning love.
This song had a more upbeat, dance-like sound. Some fans loved the new style, while others still preferred the older, soulful songs. Even though the group was changing, they were trying hard to stay in the spotlight and keep their fans happy. They were doing their best to stay current while keeping their special Spinners touch. The Spinners stayed busy through the 1980s and 1990s, but their music was not as popular as before. Times were changing, and so was music. New styles like hip-hop and electronic music were becoming more popular. It became harder for classic soul groups like the Spinners to compete. Also, health problems and changes in group members made things harder. Some members got sick and others had to leave, but the Spinners didn't give up. They kept performing and recording, even if the spotlight wasn't as bright as before. When John Edwards started having health problems, the Spinners found themselves in a tough spot. John had been a strong lead singer for many years. Without him, the group needed someone who could help them keep going. Instead of looking for a completely new singer, they called back one of their past members, G.C. Cameron. G.C. had been with the group before Edwards and knew their style well. Asking him to return showed how much the Spinners depended on their old members to keep their sound alive. But bringing back a former member is not always simple. It can be hard for the group to adjust again. People change, voices change, and fans sometimes want things to stay the same. Still, the Spinners hoped this move would help them continue making music that people loved. Even with G.C. Cameron back, things didn't go as smoothly as hoped. They tried to find new ways to connect with fans, but it wasn't easy. When a group has been around for many years, staying fresh and exciting can be a real challenge. They were no longer at the top, and they had to accept that times were different. On May 11th, 2025, John Edwards passed away at the age of 80. His death was sad news for fans and for the music world. Edwards had played a big part in keeping the Spinners alive during some of their most difficult times. His time with the Spinners made a big difference. The Spinners released a song called One of a Kind, Love Affair. The song was catchy and full of emotion, but something unusual happened. Some people who listened to the song thought they heard a bad word in the lyrics. The part that caused all the confusion was a line that was supposed to say, "You just got a hugger," but many listeners believed it said something rude. "You just got to F*** her." This caused a lot of people to get upset and complain about the song. The Spinners didn't mean to say anything bad, but the way the singer pronounced the words made it easy to hear the wrong thing. The record company, Atlantic Records, didn't want any trouble. So, to stop more complaints, they made a quick decision. They re-released the song but changed that part so no one could misunderstand it again. They took out the words that caused the problem and made a clean version. Even though there were now two versions, one with the original line and one edited, both kept getting played. It became one of those music stories where a simple mistake turned into a big deal. But this small problem didn't stop the Spinners from becoming one of the top soul music groups of the 1970s. Things started to change for the Spinners when they signed with Atlantic Records. They also started working with a music producer and songwriter named Tom Bell. He helped them create an album called Spinners, and it completely changed their career. The album had 5 songs that made it into the top 100, and 2 of those songs were big hits in the top 10. This success helped the group get noticed and made them one of the most popular soul groups during that time. One of the songs from that album was I'll Be Around.
I'll be there, I'll be around.
It became a huge hit, but interestingly, it wasn't even the song the record label was pushing at first. The A-side of the record, the song they wanted people to listen to, was called How Could I Let You Get Away? But that song didn't do as well. Radio stations started playing the other side instead. I'll Be Around. People loved it. It climbed the music charts and reached number 3. It also became their first song to sell over 1 million copies. The RIAA even gave it a gold disc to mark its success. After I'll Be Around, the Spinners released another big song called Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? This one was also a huge success and sold over 1 million copies. The group was now on a winning streak. They followed it up with One of a Kind, Love Affair. The Spinners continued releasing popular songs like Ghetto Child, Mighty Love Pit 1, and I'm Coming Home. All of these songs did great on the charts. The group had become a top name in soul music. Their popularity was now equal to other big groups at the time, like the OJs. The Spinners were performing on TV, touring the country, and filling up concert halls. It seemed like nothing could stop them from reaching even more success. One of the group's founding members was Billy Henderson. He didn't usually sing lead, but he had something special. Billy was known for his dancing. He brought energy to the stage and was always in the center, keeping the audience excited with his moves. He sang background vocals as a tenor and made the live shows more fun to watch. Even though he didn't stand in the front, fans remembered his dancing and stage presence. Later, Billy left the Spinners. He was replaced by Harold Bonhart, a singer from Detroit. Then, in 2009, Marvin Taylor joined the group. Billy had done a lot for the Spinners, but his time with the group ended in a sad way. In 2004, he was dismissed from the group after suing the group's managers. He wanted to see financial records because he felt he wasn't paid fairly. He even asked for money he believed he was owed from past performances. Sadly, Billy became sick with diabetes and died on February 2, 2007. Other early members of the Spinners also passed away. C.P. Spencer died of a heart attack on October 20, 2004. Another member, George Dixon, died in 1994. Purvis Jackson, who stayed with the group for a long time, died of cancer on August 18, 2008. The group tried to continue as a smaller group, but they later brought in new members. Jesse Robert Peck joined as the new bass singer in February 2009. That same year, Marvin Taylor replaced Bonhart. In December 2011, another early member, Edgar "Chico" Edwards, passed away too. During the 2014 Grammy Awards, something went wrong during a very important moment. Every year, the Grammys take a moment to remember music stars who passed away. It's called the In Memoriam part of the show. During this time, they show pictures of singers and music workers who died the year before. But in 2014, the show made a big mistake. They showed the wrong person's photo. Instead of showing a picture of Robert Bobby Smith from the Spinners, who had passed away, they showed a photo of Jonathan Edwards, but he was still alive. This mistake hurt a lot of fans and people close to Bobby Smith. It is still not clear if the people who made the Grammy show ever noticed or admitted their mistake. Many fans looked online but couldn't find anything from the Grammy producers talking about the error. Some people wonder if they even know what they did wrong. This made many people think the show did not care enough to check the facts carefully. It looked like they didn't take the time to make sure everything was correct, which felt disrespectful to Bobby Smith's memory.
When the Spinners were with Motown, I was not a part of the group.
Before they became very famous, the Spinners had a hard time getting noticed. They signed with Motown Records, which was a big music company. But Motown had many other famous groups like The Temptations and The Four Tops. Because of this, the Spinners were not given many chances to shine. Instead of singing, they were sometimes asked to do small jobs like driving other stars, helping backstage, or even working in the office. This made the group feel unimportant, even though they had talent. In 1969, Motown moved them to a smaller label called VIP Records. That same year, Stevie Wonder wrote a song for them called It's a Shame. The song was a big hit and made it to number 14 on the music charts. This gave the group hope again. The next year, they had another song, We'll Have It Made, which also did well. But soon after, things changed again. Aretha Franklin, a famous singer and a friend of the group, told them they should leave Motown and go to Atlantic Records instead. She thought they would have a better chance there. At the same time, the Spinners were working on an album with Stevie Wonder, but their Motown contract ended before the album was finished. When they moved to Atlantic Records, G.C. Cameron had to stay behind because his contract with Motown wouldn't let him leave. G.C. Cameron made a big decision. He left the Spinners. One reason he left was because of his personal relationship with a woman. She was the sister of Berry Gordy, the man who started Motown Records. This relationship made things a little complicated, so Cameron thought it was best to step away from the group.
She was always there and always making sure that I was cool. Took great care of me.
But there was no bad blood. He left on good terms, without any fights or anger. Before leaving, he even helped the group by suggesting his cousin, Philippé Wynne, to take his place. That was a kind move that showed he still cared about the group.
Once a spinner, always a spinner, because that's permanent. And so no matter what you say or do, I'm thinking spinner music all the time because that's what I've been a part of.
After leaving the Spinners, Cameron didn't give up on music. In 1973, he started working on his own songs as a solo artist under Motown Records. At first, things looked good for him. He was writing, recording, and performing music. But life wasn't as easy as it looked. He was still a young man and had to deal with a lot of temptations. Being around fame and money led him to make some bad choices. By 1980, he started to feel tired of the fast life. He didn't want the rich and flashy lifestyle anymore. And Cameron made a big change and left Beverly Hills. He moved from a large mansion to a small trailer where his parents lived. He said, "I had more women chasing me than Bonnie and Clyde had police." He felt worn out and wanted a simpler, peaceful life. Even though he didn't make a lot of money from music, Cameron said he had no regrets. He explained that companies like Motown didn't pay him much, but he didn't mind. He didn't do music just for money. He said, "I have great memories." That showed he was happy with what he had done in his life, even if it wasn't full of fame or riches. Years later, in 2003, the Spinners were back in the spotlight. This happened when a song by Elton John was re-released. The Spinners had worked on that song many years earlier. Back in 1977, they recorded two versions of Are You Ready for Love? One version had all the Spinners singing backup. The other version only had Philippé Wynne singing. Elton John didn't like the original mixes, so he waited a year before having them fixed. The version with Wynne came out in 1979, but it didn't do well. It only reached number 42 in the UK. However, in 2003, the song was remixed by Ashley Beadle. It became popular in clubs and was even used in a sports ad. Finally, it became a hit, reaching number 1 on the UK charts. The Spinners also got some long overdue recognition. In 2011, 57 years after the group first started, they were nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the first time. They were nominated again in 2014 and 2015. This showed how much people still respected their music, even many years later. Even though many of the original members are no longer with us, the Spinners' music lives on. Their songs are still played today, and many people remember them as one of the best soul groups from the 1970s.